what's up, viewers? Unorganized Play here. Today on this talk we have Chubbs, Hodge,
Hey.
Drew, and Johnny Woe. And this is your resident Panda. Panda, what's up?
I fucking hate that so much. We gotta get a better intro.
We have real names.
What? Hey, this is weird because in the last podcast I got your brother got angry for using real names and me using nicknames, and now I'm just using everyone's nickname. We'll figure it out. I'm trying new shit every week. So we're here again for another table talk. We're here to discuss. Yesterday was the opening of Gen Con events, and most of us had a unique experience getting our events put together. Chubbs, would you like to toss the ball to you?
Sure, we'll start with me because I was the most simplest. I got 6 out of my 8 events. I had no problem whatsoever. I was doing some laundry right before noon. I was sitting there folding whites as I clicked the process button to process my wish list for all my events. The only ones that sold out were the L5R inaugural tournament, which I knew for a fact was going to sell out. I even told people it's going to sell out by 12:20. It sold out by 12:14, so I was only off by 6 minutes, but point still stands. It sold out. And then the other one was the A Song of Ice and Fire mini demo that Cool Me or Not was doing. I tried to get one of those slots. Those all got snatched up right away. So,
Okay,
we'll finagle something there too, because that could be something we can bring to our viewers. Game of Thrones is awesome, and Simon is awesome. So let's get both of those together. Let's get us together, and let's make some awesome content.
So,
but other than that, all my other events were good.
So basically, what he was describing is at 12 o'clock noon yesterday on Sunday, everyone who was planning to go to Gen Con had a wish list of events prioritized from 1 to whatever events they want. And what the deal was, when events went live, you would process your wish list and then just sit and wait and prayed that all your events got put into your cart to purchase. So
right. It assigns you a number, like saying you are 4,340 something in line, and then you see your number slowly going down as it comes. To its credit, it goes pretty fast. So I like their system. I know some other people were complaining this is so stupid. I don't understand how this works, but just the fact that they tell you when you're gonna finish and tell you where you are in line, and it just calms the anxiety of the whole process for me.
Yeah, also, as you're waiting online, you can watch as the events you've listed on your wish list either go from nothing to change or they go gray. So when they go gray, it's yeah, you're probably not getting to this event. This is already sold out. Start looking for start making alternative plans, which is what we're going to discuss today. Who else was waiting online? Because I can tell you my experiences later. Drew, how was yours?
Yeah. Well, I think I was number 4,415 or 75. I mean, it was kind of a long shot, but seeing as other people in the group had 6,000 plus, I was like, all right, a little bit closer, a little bit past the middle, I may get some events. Slowly, as time started sticking down, or I started refreshing the page, more and more events started getting grayed out. Barely made it to 1,000, and almost everything was off the list. A couple of oddball RPGs we still had, but for the most part, the L5R tourney, the Arkham Asylum, or the Arkham Horror scenario packs, stuff like that was, grayed out. At first, I was a little bit disappointed. Of course, I knew it was going to be selling out. It was going to be kind of a tight thing, but we were hoping that some of us got through. Luckily, a couple of people in our group did still get through, so I feel really happy that they actually got to participate in it, and they're the first-time newbie Gen Con goers, so all is not lost, and I'm still holding hope to try to pick up a core at Gen Con. All else fails, I'll pick it up from the local store, so not too bad.
Yeah, so basically, one reason why everyone wishlists ahead of time is because they are some big ticketed events. We were guys talking about Fantasy Flight has a ton of big tournaments, and as well as they've announced L5R coming out, and one of the main tournaments has, hey, join this tournament, you will get one core box, which is the hot ticket item. People already scalping hey, I'll have this by Gen Con. I'm gonna sell this on eBay or whatever for higher than store prices. So that's why there was always a mad rush for that. John, how was your experiences?
My experiences was fine. I pretty much had 5 things in my cart, and got 3 out of the 5 things because 3 of the 5 things were literally all on the same day at the same time. It was backups for backups for backups. So, of course, L5R #1 got sold out. That blacked out, like, almost immediately for me. Star Wars Destiny blacked out quite close to second place, and then it was like, all right, we got, Game of Thrones or Ascension left. Which I'm actually surprised Ascension didn't sell out, since that's flat out...
Sold out yet.
Yeah, that's like flat out a cash prize.
Yeah. Like, day before, Upper Deck? Who owns the place?
Ultra Pro.
Ultra Pro.
Yeah, Ultra Pro made an announcement that this year Gen Con, the tournament, their Ascension tournament that they... the
World Championship tournament.
Yeah, there's going to be a large cash prize for that tournament, and everyone was like rethinking our schedule, saying like, do we want to do Ascension this year? Because I wasn't planning on doing it. I know some of you were like eyeing that. It's like, maybe we should. And Hodge,
I ended up doing that.
And Hodge, I leave you last because I believe you were the one who has a different experience. Because where were you when this happened?
So for the past 2 years, for booking events at Gen Con, I have had the worst luck and timing of everything. So last year I just moved into my house and my internet wasn't set up. It was scheduled to be set up the week after, and that's when the Verizon strike happened. So I wasn't able to do anything because I didn't have internet for about a month. So Drew, who's somewhere on your screen here, added me as a friend, and essentially I trust his schedule making so much. I said, just add me to literally everything you do, and then he gets into throwing out some of the oddball suggestions, and I was just like, yeah, fine, book me for them. This year I was on a father's trip with a couple other guys who I'm friends with who all like baseball and stuff. So we were down in, yeah, just like that, Chubbs. We were down in Washington D.C. Watching some baseball games, and we were on our way back up when the launch went live. So just like last year, this year I had Drew. I said, just literally put me down for one of everything that you do, and he just books an extra ticket for me. He is the best at making schedules, and he is the savior of the group. And I will add also, thank you very much, Drew, for getting me into the Destiny tournament that John is locked out of. It makes me smile.
So, my experience as well, when events went live, we were all sitting at group chat, like in Google Hangout, just like yelling at each other, 5 minutes to go. I was staring at the website. It countdowns to 0. Someone was complaining like some other person's computer was faster. But when it hit 0, I was about to hit the button, and I think most of you experienced it. It juked. Like, the button juked. Yeah, it juked up, and I was like, what the hell? And that 1 second, like, might have costed us valuable time. And, like, I was waiting for that thing to say, we're processing, we see your thing. I got into, like, 7,000th in line, and I was like, oh, crap, this isn't gonna work out. Because we did at least have one high priority tournament that we all wanted to go to. I had at least one, and I was just sitting there just waiting as more time passed, like, all right, that grayed out, and then somehow there was like false hope, like an event didn't ungrade out, and I was like, so I guess someone ended up dropping it. Needless to say, I got most of the events I wanted. Like, there was just 2. The big event was a wash. The other, another one I wanted to go to, like, They Might Be Giants had the concert. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. Like, the first night, it instantly got eaten up because, although I was surprised how fast that went out as well. Yeah, it's a random band. I'm like,
they have a large following, apparently?
Yeah, I was surprised too. Like, I was looking at the things like, oh yeah, that stuff I used to watch, and like, Tiny Toons had like a bunch of those, cartoon episode.
They're not the boss of me now.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, sure, this seems like a weird niche concert I can go to. And I was like, it's sold out. Like, VIP and general seating are all gone. Yeah, but everything else, I was doing RPGs this year with friends. I got those pretty quickly. Actually, I was holding tickets for a group of 3 others. So me and 3 others were going to do a group together. That sold out, but it's but things like this are easily fixed because, again, Gen Con has thousands of events. Just because your high priority events might not get there, you can, as soon as events open, you can freely look at the events list as long as your website doesn't crash and find new ones. So I lucked out and found another event and told the guys, like, hey, main event didn't happen. The event we wanted to didn't happen, but here's an alternative. So I guess this is what we can. So this is what we're talking about today. How to fix your Gen Con plan once it's fallen out after this whole thing. So guys, how did you adjust accordingly?
Well, the first thing you have to do is the 9 steps of acceptance. Like, you know how you almost die and you have to, like, first there's grief, then there's sadness, then there's grim acceptance of what's happening to you. But that's how I started it. At first I was kind of pissed off that I couldn't get the event, but then afterwards that quickly passed. Then became recovery mode. Everyone's just like, pick up what we can. You know, it's kind of like you Black Friday sale. You run through the store, you trample 4 other people, you get the stuffed giraffe, and you keep running to the Turbo Man. I mean, that's how. That's pretty much in my mind what was playing out.
Wait, who's the sidekick no one wanted?
Don't get stuck with Booster.
There we go. Hey, Booster's just fine. You can have fun with Booster now.
Boy, nobody likes you. Oh my God, we're quoting Jingle All the Way now, please.
All right, well, Chubb, sorry to interrupt you. Go for it.
It's okay. You always interrupt me.
I try.
Again, I didn't have any of that re-suffering. You know, I kept yelling in the chat, stay zen. And that's the way you approach this. It's just, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. And even though you don't, at one point, you know, our favorite person we like to name drop on this, Larry, had literally every single event that he scheduled gray out and sell out. So he was sitting there, and he was still 3,000 in line, and he's sitting there, he's like, well, I think I'm just going to go on a cruise instead. I might just eat the $100 for the badge and just fuck this. But even then, like, afterwards, it's like, I said, whatever, just calm down. You'll find something else to do. And then by the time you get to processing, he still got 2 of the events. I mean, tickets reopened up for those. So, and that's a big important. That's a very important thing to remember. Like, people are going to drop from events. Tickets are going to open up. There's going to be second waves of events. There's so many other things to fill up your schedule with. So, keep calm, and you'll find something else.
Yeah, I remember Larry got into the Arkham Horror event that I tried to book for, and it was sold out. And then magically, Larry, 3,000 people behind me, he was like, "Oh, look, a spot opened up," and he took the spot. And I was like, "You son of a bitch!"
He Larried you even beyond.
He Larried me from the grave. Lich Lord Larry.
Yeah, like when after I booked my events, I was like, all right, this one event like I couldn't do with my friends. All right, I'll find something else. I found something else, and then if you check on your wish list, like the items you don't buy are still there. Like, so when I checked my wish list again, that event opened up it ungraded, and I was like, hey, let me double check. And then exactly 3 more tickets popped up. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna scoop those anyway and let them know we can do 2 events this year. And so like, so anyone who has events they were maybe gunning for, keep the events on your wish list and check periodically. You never know, someone has to refund, someone can't go to Gen Con, and once that happens, on that list it'll ungray and you can maybe swipe that ticket from unsuspecting people. Hodge, out of everyone here, like I've noticed, because we've put our entire schedule on spreadsheets, yours is the most free-ish compared to all of us. Are you going to go back and just pick up your own events now, or you're fine as it is? Because I know you have large blocks of like free time currently.
So it's weird. Drew, did you book us in the Game of Thrones tournament?
No.
All right, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do X-Wing. But I actually got like the weird opportunity that I sent you guys a screenshot of, where I somehow finagled a media pass. So I may just do reporting the whole weekend. I don't know. It really depends on if there's anything solid that I see or want to do, or if there's I mean, it may actually open up to the point where if me walking around the dealer's hall and walking to like exhibitors showing off new games and things like that, where I can get access where we never had access before, that may just be my Gen Con this year, playing the RPGs that Drew has me booked for, and then doing that other stuff. So that, and you'll always find me basically whoring myself out at or around the cool mini booth to get everything I possibly can, which I'm waiting on a text message response. Hopefully it comes in during this video, but I'll let you know about the Game of Thrones stuff for that.
Hey.
And John, so Johnny Bo, what we're looking at your schedule, you have triple booked events on one day.
Yes.
How'd you like? You have Ascension, Thrones,
Ascension, Game of Thrones, and an RPG that afternoon.
Yeah, that all overlap. Like, I guess the start times are different, but the
start times are all different, and I figure, I'll play an Ascension. I kept Game of Thrones just in case it did sell out and somebody else needed the ticket. And then God only knows how good I'm going to do in Ascension, so I figured I might as well leave the afternoon RPG.
I'm actually surprised that you were able to book all those 3 tickets. Like, I guess they don't stop you from booking tickets if you're in the middle of an event, as long as it doesn't...
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think Gen Con over the last year or two literally changed the way their ticket purchasing thing worked, because forever it was always, if you were trying to buy a ticket that ran into or over an already allotted time, you couldn't even purchase it.
Yeah, that's what I remember from last year. It's weird.
Yeah, it conflicts with another thing, and it wouldn't even let you buy it. So I don't know whether they finally realized that people were like, oh, they blocked this for a 10-hour event, but it's definitely going to be over in 4. Like, let's let people buy the events they want. And if it overlaps, that's their problem.
Yeah, John, I'm not sure if you watched our last episode, but we were literally complaining. I was complaining about that, at least.
So it looks like Gen Con does listen to the mumbles and grumbles of, like, gamers, but that secret information was like, oh, I could have double booked. God dang it! It's a game changer knowing that we could have done that, and
it's a huge game changer. Exactly.
I think as far as the time is not exactly the same hour, then you're free to book.
Yeah.
But I think you put like 14 events all starting at like 7 or whatever, then it's gonna
10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I used to remember, like, you couldn't, like, even last year it was like, hey, event at 8, event at 10. Oh, wait, they overlap. They suggest do something else. I'm like, alright, so this is what I was going to do this year. Now it's like, yeah, it's fine. We know you're going to drop now. It's like, oh, thanks for that consideration. Maybe let us know ahead of time.
Yeah, that's what, sorry, John.
No, go.
Okay, so that's what happened to me last year. I was playing in a Fantasy Flight game called Conquest. And in my first 3 rounds, I was like 1 and 2. So I wasn't gonna win, like I wasn't gonna make a cut or anything. But since it was scheduled for, I think it was like an 8-hour block, it prevented me from signing up for Game of Thrones and X-Wing, either of which tournament I would have bounced over to, being 1 and 2 at that point in time. So, I mean, I'm just glad that this year that's not an issue.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I think Gen Con finally did realize that a lot of people's events don't run that full block, but because the way the scheduling works, you have to block out that full time, so you're guaranteed those tables. Because for those viewers that don't know much about Gen Con, there are events that will literally use the exact same table over each other, because one event's supposed to end at 6, the next event's supposed to start at 6:30, and they have to use those tables. So if people don't block out that time, i.e. like the game industry, then they can't guarantee that they'll have the space to run their games. But us as players, we don't need all that freaking time. Like, we literally can go like into a tournament and it might be over in 2 hours, even though they blocked it out for 4 or 6. So it's a good thing on Gen Con's part to actually allow people to, block events that literally will cross over each other with full knowledge that you may not be able to do them.
And the scheduling wise, they're really clear on like how long events take. So tournaments, those are based off how well you do. Like they'll max out the hours from like start to finish, but like and most players won't be able to stay that long because they don't do so well and they need to drop. But RPG events, game testing events, events and shows, those are the exact time. So Maybe that's why they were afraid you don't want to miss out on anything. But I guess Gen Con's like, yeah, you're adults. You know what you want to stay for and what you don't want to stay for. But like for anyone else, RPGs and all that stuff, those are usually will go to the end of the time, and some panels you enjoy watching will sometimes go over. But for turn-wise, I'm glad they are able to give more gamers that flexibility in what they want to do. And what we're saying, like all events have been sold out and whatnot. If you look into the event list and look at all the entire catalog, there's still tons of events not grayed out. People like you'll hear a lot of gamers grumbling about Gen Con, like I didn't get my events. Well, sorry that your first love wasn't there, but there's a lot of other chicks off in the side just waiting for some attention right there. And if you go down that list, it's like, yep, still itemized from hour to hour. So there's someone to keep you company.
The question posed
advice, Jared.
Question posed to all of you then, because of that same old idea. It's like, oh, there's plenty of events out there. I know we've all pretty much scoured the list, and I wanted to see, do any of you guys have any kind of really hidden gems? Like I know in our little group chat that we have, I've seen a few random RPGs kind of pop out there, and it's just kind of like, what the hell? How is this actually a thing? So I want to hear, let's recommend to our viewers what is some of the most random shit that you can sign up for. Go ahead, Hodge.
Yeah, I just want to, because on the random RPGs, I'm not sure if many people out there have heard of it, but it's called Dungeon Crawl Classics, or DCC. And they run a lot of what's called level 0 campaigns, where essentially you're like a beet farmer or a sailor, and that's it. And you're thrown into a dungeon. You are expected to die, and and your characters, the longer they live, the more goofy stuff they give you that could be traded in for real world stuff at their booth. But those guys always put on like the best RPG sessions. That are, like the kooky, I just walk into a room and I want to find something to do. Check out Dungeon Crawl Classics. And I know Drew will probably talk about them and some of the things that they're coming out with. But that would be my recommendation for an RPG if you got some time to kill.
Drew, what do you got?
Well, usually I try to get for the really oddball stuff. I'm willing to give people that don't have a name in the industry a chance. I just read the synopsis, and if I think like, oh, this scenario looks cool, or whatever, I'm always interested in the system. I'll shoot just for whatever is out there. I mean, Hodge mentioned Dungeon Crawl Classics. Even though one of our buddies did introduce the game to the group, I love it. It's got the really retro, old school D&D kind of look to it, kind of like the cover art, something that's probably akin to like an old Metallica album on crack in the dungeon world.
Yeah, let's throw one of those in there in editing. Just throw like one of those. Yeah.
I got you.
Really cool, I'm good at this. Cool D&D look to it, and it's very grim. The possibility you're level 0. You're not even a level 1 character. You're a level 0. So beet farmer maybe has a sword, maybe has 1 HP. Mosquito bites him. He's already on the ground dying, and the rest of his party's looting the body, as always. Another kind of hidden gem that we've walked into, well, not really hidden, but Clockwork, which my brother introduced us to, is a kind of a steampunk Victorian kind of game where instead of dice, you use cards. That's also been, I think we've been 3 years running on their sessions, and he just found it out random, or I don't know how he finds some RPGs, but it's not a big name. Like when you think big name RPGs, you think like Pathfinder, D&D, or anything Wizards of the Coast, stuff like that. So we really like the oddball stuff in the group. Willing to give
what
stuff a chance.
Drew, I saw you post one in the chat that I bring up. It's like it's a role-playing session where you're born without a soul because of something your father did. I think you shared that event, right?
So we're born as gingers? Is that the thing?
Something that I was looking into, and it is, I think, I forget the name. I'll search for it, but the title of it, Sins of the Father. And I don't know if that's the RPG system or the actual name of that session in particular, but you're part of like a board or committee, and everyone has sold their souls to a demon or a deity in order to advance themselves further in life. And eventually that deity starts asking for like, hey, now it's time to pay me back. Now I'm going to send you out to do deeds, good or evil, whatever. I've never tried that, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm just moving around the schedule because I remember putting it up last year, but I didn't have a chance to actually go. I think I may have switched it for something else on the schedule, but that actually seems like something really cool. And like I said, I'm really sold on descriptions of things or synopsis of things that may possibly happen. That'll sell me to a game. Any really cool, different kind of mechanic, different perspectives. If you could play as villains, I'd be like, oh yeah, cool. I definitely want to play a villain. Who wants to play a hero? What else do I have on there? Gotta look.
While you look,
you want to pass up all the John? John, have you found anything? Any kind of hidden gems on the Gen Con event list?
No, surprisingly, because I mainly just picked my my primary, board game, card game events, and then Drew's brother, Older Wong, is pretty much filling in all of the rest of my space with completely random RPGs. We may or may not do a Vampire the Masquerade LARP to some effect he was talking about.
Good Hodge.
Yeah, I forgot to push on LARP.
Look at him.
Like, there was a line we didn't cross, that was LARP, but I think we might be crossing that line soon.
Somebody better bring a camera, that's all I
got. Yeah, that's literally, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Why not?
Actually, somebody better bring a camera. We'll do the reporting of that, if that happens.
All right, I got a gem for you guys, and I've shared it with everybody here, so it's not going to come as a surprise either. Randomly looking on events that were on a random Sunday, and there's a Hungry Hippos World Championship event.
What?
Doesn't it have a cash prize too?
Wait, I'm free on Sunday. What?
I know it's like 8 a.m. on Sunday or something.
Oh, I am free for that.
But I looked at that and I'm like, oh my god, are we gonna be playing against like 8-year-old kids who are playing this? And it's like, no, they break you up into age groups, like 14 and over, and then 14 and under, and there's 2 world champions.
No mercy. No mercy.
Nice.
Absolutely no mercy when it comes to Hungry Hippos.
How many broken hippos do you think we'll get? Like, someone's testing out their hippo. It's like
for 200 seats.
4-man pods though, so it's like someone's gonna get that. Like, someone's gonna be complaining like my hippo sucks. I got a faulty hippo. I call rigged.
The guy roll up and be like, "Oh, blue hippo is the fastest one." You're like, "What? How is that?"
Oh,
the physics of it.
Everyone knows red's the fastest and green's the bestest.
For me, since I was looking for, I had first-time Gen Con goers with that I know were going. I wanted to make sure I was in at least one event with these guys, and we all like to RP. So I was like, all right, what's a non? We already knew 5th edition. Let me just find a quick D&D session we can go to. It sold out at the time, so I was finding a new one. So I checked with the company or the group running it, and I found another one they were doing, or in the same area, called like the place was like Paragons from the Past was the group. So they had something called Pond's Place. It's an RPG with 5th edition rules, and I was like reading the descriptions. So we're basically all going to be adventurers watching over some guy's pub or shop. So in my head, I'm like, so this is like Clerks meets D&D. I have
retail 5th edition.
Pretty much, like, I assume shenanigans happens, but it's all going to be situated in like a storefront. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, we'll do it, and we'll see what happens. I'll let you know how it turns out. One of the weirdest,
wrong, right?
Yeah, but one of the weirdest like events I was like scouring through. I ran across like Consent and Cuddles is an event, like it's a spousal event that I was like, okay. I just like posted it up there. I was like, hey guys, as a joke, anyone feel like going to Consent and Cuddles? And their short description is, let me look that up. How do Physical touch provides an excellent workshop tool for practicing how to give, deny, and revoke consent, and how to manage your feelings when others do things in relation to you. And I still have an eyebrow raised at that entire thing.
That was the whole. Oh, okay.
Great. That's a short description. The long description has a bit more to it. I don't want to read the entire thing, but the long description does say no sexual interaction is going to happen at this event, so don't try.
Yeah, fucking in public is illegal.
Oh well, time to return my ticket.
It's the same as.
I mean, I know I'm shaking my head at this, but part of this discussion is obscure events. And great guys, great.
I'm just letting the audience first time Gen Con goes like there are a lot of obscure events, and so here's one of the weird ones that I had an eyebrow raised, like, yeah, not doing it, but I'm gonna like just put that out there for everyone else's confusion.
Like random ones like especially couples things. Like I always see like salsa dancing is always there, like a workshop on how to learn salsa dancing.
Yeah, there's ballroom dancing. There's
exactly.
Every 8 a.m. there's like a Korean exercise class, like dance to like K-pop, and I'm like, had my sister been there, she found that hilarious.
So that's not
I was like, actually, yeah. I paused because I thought Chubb's mic kind of cut out, and thought everyone else's mic cut out on me.
No, you haven't cut out. But I know our friend, who his girlfriend PJ and Angela. I know they are doing like a haunted walking tour of Indianapolis. I saw that on their little schedule as well. So even local businesses that aren't necessarily gaming related still partner with Gen Con. So you can work with them. I know there's some pretty cool escape rooms as well. They seemed like a little pricey when I was looking at them, but they'll come in a limo, pick you up, and take you to the escape room as part of the deal.
Oh, I thought the event was at the was actually at the convention center. I didn't realize it was like off site.
No, it's off site.
Oh, that's cool. Like we did escape rooms once. It was fun. I kind of wanted to do one again.
Yeah, if you guys are down, I'll do one this time because I guess my schedule's the most open. I haven't even honestly looked at it. I probably should. I'll do that tonight.
Okay, so let's talk about another aspect. So again, this kind of is a good transition. So I was mentioning that it's local businesses do partner with Gen Con, and it's also a lot of non-gaming stuff. So like, what is the best non-gaming stuff to do at Gen Con? Whether it's, exploring the local nightlife of downtown Indianapolis or going out to eat at a certain place, getting drunk at a certain place. You guys have any recommendations for that?
Well, I just want to paint the picture. Like Gen Con, like the entire area is one of the best areas I've been to for a convention because the convention center is right there next to Lucas Oil Stadium, and just a few blocks away is the entire bar, shopping. The entire nightlife section is right there, just walking distance between convention to hotel to everything. So that's why we're all like gunning for downtown hotel space, because that's the place you want to be during the convention and after the convention. So everyone, what's your best places to go to there?
Well, I can give you one tip. Don't drink at the convention center. They don't really seem happy when you tend to do that.
I was thrown out for that.
We were not even outside of the convention center, thrown out of the hall, which I thought was really weird. But
they don't take your badge. They just said, "Hey, get out of here."
Yeah, they're just like I thought they were escorting us outside of the convention center. They just escorted us outside of the hall.
Oh, okay. So that's not so bad. It's like, all right, you can still enter it.
I mean, this was like 5 years ago.
I mean, it was like like 1 or 2 in the morning, but it's still kind of weird that they didn't escort us outside. But
I one time played a game of Warlord where me and the guy were taking shots of brandy every time we rolled initiative. And he had this whole case of like portable liquor. And we were just doing that, getting shit-faced, and then security came over and tried to confiscate it. And he was like, "Yeah, you can pour the liquor out, but you're not taking my case. This is my case. I don't give a fuck what you do." And I just was basically talking shit to the security guard. And that was a fun time. But back to the original question.
I was gonna say, so what not to do at Gen Con?
Wait, was that Van and he was trying to get you drunk for a Medusan Lore challenge?
Tape drop, you can go right ahead and say it. But other than non-gaming stuff to do, as Jared said, Gen Con takes over the whole city. I mean, Indianapolis itself isn't exactly the tourist destination capital of the United States, but
it isn't the emerald of people's eyes. You're saying that's
exactly what I'm saying. But it doesn't. You take over the entire city when you're part of Gen Con. But everybody knows what Gen Con is. Everybody can already spot you when you're there. It's like you kind of stand out as someone who doesn't belong there.
They don't know.
Yes, they do. They always know.
That's why I was giving those kids advice last year. You take those badges off, you unbutton a couple you'll fit right in.
Well, it depends on what shirt you're wearing. If you're wearing like a Batman shirt, it's like, I think you're here for Gen Con.
But best non-gaming stuff to do. If you get there, if you have the luxury of getting there the Wednesday before Gen Con, it's always a big party. There's a Georgia Street. There's like some kind of outdoor beer garden that they always set up. Sun King Brewery always sets something up with live music. That's always worth checking out. There's all the local bars have some kind of like happy hour or something going on, and there's always people who are just getting ready to get into Gen Con mode there, and they'll have a drink with you and always have a good time. And then for food-wise, I always recommend St. Elmo's. It's a legendary steakhouse. It's a little pricey, so it's not like, a quick bite to eat. You're going to sit down, you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to do it right, but my group always closes out with a dinner there, and that's what I always recommend.
John, what do you...
Oh,
all right. John, I haven't heard from you in a while. What do you do at Gen Con that's not gaming-based related, or do you just, like, spawn somewhere?
I just magically appear in a puff of smoke, I game, and I disappear in a puff of smoke? No. There's actually a lot of stuff to do, and surprisingly, for those that don't realize it, it actually is quite family-oriented beyond the gaming things. I know Sunday they actually sell out full family passes for the convention where, like, you can bring kids and, like, basically teach them as young Padawans how to play games and stuff. I know usually Cool Mini or Not does an event actually at the... I don't know if it's the Indianapolis Zoo, but I know there's a zoo nearby the convention center where they actually do a family night. I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday before the convention. What I usually do is I'm usually either gaming or pretty much eating.
And letting loose in the bathroom. That's also on the John list to do.
Yeah, that's always on the job.
And sleeping.
Can't believe he pissed on himself.
What?
It happens.
Wait, there's a story there. What?
Jared wants to ask the hard-hitting questions. And
You don't mention like he pissed himself. I'm like, wait, when did that happen and how far? Like,
God, that was back in like 2014. Whatever, man. No one cares about that
all
stuff.
right, fine, fair enough.
So true. What do you got to recommend?
Oh wait. What I was gonna say was last year we actually found a nice little gem that we actually hadn't been to before, and I was currently Googling the name of it. The Yard House. It's a brewery that's between the convention center and the Hampton Inn. That's underneath the mall, and it's actually like amazingly good food, as well as have like 6,000 beers on tap. So that's the new little gem that we found.
To pick up from John, we were it was pretty late. I think it was like Friday or Saturday, and we're like, oh, we're kind of hungry. All the events used up. We weren't really doing anything, but we noticed that there was this place, and it's good that John brought it up because I totally forgot the name of it, and I was mentioning it to other people on the Gen Con forums. I described the location, but I couldn't find the exact GPS name for it because it's underneath the mall, so whenever you try to look for it, it's the mall. And so the Yard House, a really nice selection of craft beers. The waitress was really helpful. The food was really great. A little bit on the higher end. It's not going to be, McDonald's cheap. Maybe you're looking at $25 to $30 per meal. That's like relatively cheap. We got a burger. I had 2 beers. I think we shared an app. So that was pretty good food. Choice of beers. You may not even be that much of a drinker, but you can enjoy a nice drink on a hot day. So that was really good pocket find there. As mentioned above also, Gen Con, the whole town transforms. All the meal menus, they get, changed in names. The whole town really gets into it, which is really cool. It makes you feel a little bit more at home. You're surrounded by a bunch of gamers, and Chubb said it before. You see everyone and you automatically know, all right, for the most part, this guy's definitely a gamer. And it's not just a shining metal suit of armor as he's clanking down the street and his fair maiden at his side. You kind of just, everyone shows each other great respect for the most part. You get a couple of townies that are kind of, they're a little bit, they kind of just take it in stride, because they know that this is a really big event for the town. The police are, for the most part, really friendly. So I've always had a good time, and you really feel at home. If you guys are first-timers to the Gen Con experience, just feel free to let your geek out. No one's going to judge you for the most part, and feel safe as long as you're not out in a really shady part of town near the cornfields.
Yeah.
Talk about the judge part. I want to bring up one thing that I think hits it home, and that's one year Gen Con was happening at the same time as Sturgis. The motorcycle gathering was happening.
Oh, that was amazing.
The biggest bikers and craziest looking people there, just revving their engines, having a good time. They all come up to you and they want to have conversations. They're like, "Yo, man, what are you guys here? You're here for Gen Con? Oh man, I played D&D back in the '80s. It was fucking great." And they'll actually have a conversation with you and want to go have a drink with you. Like, even bikers are nice people. Like, come on.
Secretly, a good portion of bikers turn out to also be D&D fanatics, so there's a connection right there.
Judging a book by its cover runs both ways, Chubbs. I really thought you.
I know it's also fun because they also have the Cults games occasionally. Like I doubt there's anyone scheduled, but there's a few times where Cults game was like scheduled during Gen Con. So you also have you could have a wave of gamers, a wave of like bikers, and then a random wave of like painted faced football preseason goers, and you're like, this is the weirdest combination of people ever. Like,
yeah, I think actually 2 years ago it was like the Justin Bieber concert.
Oh yeah,
One Direction.
One Direction.
Whatever, they're all kind of the same to me. But it was pretty awkward just to see like crowds of people walk by and these mothers taking care of their preteen daughters or whatever, going to this concert, being alarmed by the amount of large men walking the streets.
Girls were rolling down the window and singing One Direction songs. I think when Jared was with me, we were walking back to the convention, and this was happening. It was just kind of like, what the fuck was going on?
Yeah, that was pretty alarming.
And this was early One Direction. This is like preteen. They're insufferable. It's like, no, it was like a weird walk back to like hotel space during that crowded time. Yeah, Gen Con is like Indianapolis is like one of the best like for events, like, because they keep using that area. Like, it's always crowded. Like, even after we leave, there's the Indy 500. Like, is either before
Indy 500's happening now.
Yeah. So sometimes they used to book it like right after. Like, as soon as we leave, people were already coming in for a new event and stuff like that.
So you want to know where you really should go?
Where?
Well, since you asked, you goddamn animals, that completely cut me out of the conversation. You're like, hey, John, where do you go? We all know where John is. But if you really want to go...
himself in the bathroom, of course.
Yeah.
Do I look like Lou?
That is not for the air, all right? We are not telling that story.
We're not uncovering that, like, treasure trove of stories. Let's know.
Come on, how about you tell us regale us with your recommendation, please.
So, there is a street 3 blocks away from the convention center. It is called South Meridian Street. Now, on this street is where essentially your main drag of bars are in Indianapolis. There are a couple really good ones on that street. Ones that I would recommend, always. Kilroy's is number 1. We usually go to Kilroy's every Wednesday when we get to Gen Con. It is known that we usually go too aggressively at Kilroy's on a Wednesday because their prices are, we're used to New York City pricing. So when we get out there and I buy 47 rounds of drinks and my bill is $160, I'm in a pretty good place.
And it's not just mass alcohol consumption and delusions, right? Not just that.
There's food in there.
No. There's food in there too. I mean, they're actually, John could probably speak on the food because I think he ate a little of everything last year.
Those Southwest egg rolls are amazing. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Kilroy's Southwest egg rolls. That's a recommendation for Wednesday. And right across the street from that, there's an escape room. So then as you go further down that block, there's a place called Tiki Pops. And usually, I believe the Cosplay Deviants hold their party thing that they have events at, is always at Tiki Pops.
I think they changed it this year. It's scheduled somewhere else.
Is it?
Yeah, I looked at
Tiki Pops is still a very good place.
Still good.
It's got a nice dance floor, I heard.
It does, in the back. And then as you continue a little bit further down the block, there's a place called 247 Sky Bar. Now this is more of one of those like faux classy upscale places. So if you want to pretend to be a baller, shot caller, brawler, when you get to the door, ask for Roach and he'll get you a good place. Then a little bit even further down that same block is a place called the Cadillac Ranch. This is your generic bar. There's 2 sections to this bar. Huh?
I said the college bar mostly.
Yeah, it's your college bar. So it's actually broken into 2 sections, 3 really, it should be nice out. They have an outside patio. Then there is a dance floor section where they play basically, like house and dutsa music. And then there is a third section, which is essentially a bar with a mechanical ball. That's basically everything you got there. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little. And then if you go even further down that block, there is a place called the Slippery Noodle. If you are into country or jazz music, that place, they always have open mics where you get people showing up who literally just play banjo, harmonica, and things like that. They're actually pretty good. But if you are on South Meridian Street and you're coming down the block from the Hampton Inn and you make a left, you can find two of the best things that no one ever talks about at Gen Con. Well, I think people are talking about it now because I just saw in an email that they're like a sponsor. Hot Box Pizza, number one. You're gonna want to know Hot Box Pizza because there's only like 2 places that are open all night long in Indy. It's Steak and Shake and Hot Box Pizza. And the Steak and Shake, the service used to be great, but under new ownership and they're hysterically slow. If you go in there for a milkshake, you'll be there for about 2 hours.
And we have for 2 hours.
You leave with a bowl of soup in a cup with melted whipped cream on it.
If frozen ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, no.
Shout out to the Kim brothers.
Yeah, an hour for a pre-made, in a package, slightly melted frozen ice cream sandwich. He proclaimed that as soon as he got it. But yeah, that late night Steak and Shake is probably the worst during Gen Con hours because it's the one thing open. Well, now we have Hot Box Pizza, and thank God for that.
I also have to reiterate that please tip your bartender and or your waiter or waitress. I've seen this a lot. I see people ordering 52 different cheeseburgers, 14 milkshakes, 16 types of soda, and then not leave a tip for their waiter thinking, like, oh yeah, this person is pulling double or triple shifts because this is the only time that money really comes into town. I mean, not give them like an extra $2 or $3, but I'm gonna be a fat ass and eat 14 cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah, we've heard.
Please.
Yeah, because we've heard this before. Like there was we were at a restaurant. They were having like a magic event. Me and Chubbs we're asking. It's like, hey, do you do good business when they come here? It's like the waitress goes, not really. They don't really buy stuff or tip much because they're just here for the event. And we're like, that's some bull. Like, yeah, at least buy a drink. If you're gonna go to a restaurant and just if there's an event there, buy a drink and tip well because drinks are cheap there, and you definitely want to take advantage of that.
Yep.
That's number 2.
Actually, right next to Hot Box Pizza, there is a bar called Howl at the Moon. It is quite possibly my favorite bar in all of Indianapolis. It is, if you show up at the right time, right night, they have dueling pianos. Now, I know what everyone's thinking, like, who the hell wants to hear dueling pianos? But, I mean, when I say these guys are fantastic, guys and girls, it is some of the best live music you will hear that is not from, like, a mainstream band. It's good drinks, good atmosphere, good music, and it is. That place is always packed, and it's always a good time. I love that bar more than any other. Maybe Kilroy's is a close second, but those two, and they're right around the corner from each other. So definitely check them out.
I'm surprised none of you mentioned the place that you
Shut up.
seem to always eat at.
Shut up.
Every time.
Shut up.
Oh no, I think is that sacred?
Charlie's? I love Charlie's.
Well, I think there is one that I introduced Fish to, and he goes there every time now. Is that what you're
Are you
talking?
guys really keeping it a secret? I mean, I didn't think it was a secret.
Is it?
Shut up.
I guess it is.
Because you know what happens when things go on the internet? They can be found, Chubbs. All right? And we don't...
I mean, it's not like it's tucked away in a corner near the circle or anything like that.
Jeez. With due respect.
Alrighty then.
All right.
No one wants to talk about
Oh,
it.
okay, I know what you're talking about. That took me a while to piece together.
Really? It's the one thing we go to, like the first day.
We usually do at least 2 or 3 times that day.
Wednesday after we finish drinking, Hodge, where do we go?
No, he knows. He doesn't want to share
by
it.
5 o'clock. By 5 o'clock. No, I think Hodge is thinking something else.
Is he?
Are you?
It's BBQ.
Look at his face.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Just talk all you want.
He found a box named Cincinnati, and he was like, well, you kept evidence?
What the fuck just happened?
I don't know. Like,
Don't ask. Shh.
Talk about the fucking barbecue, guys. Just talk about the fucking barbecue.
The Dick's barbecue.
what? Okay.
No, we're not talking about food truck nachos that stay on top of a toilet, if that's what you're thinking. We're talking about Dick's BBQ, all right? That is how you get rid of Hodge.
Yes. That is.
Now I can't tell. Was that supposed to be a secret, or was there something else we weren't supposed to mention?
Nothing. It never happened.
I don't know. Okay.
Awkward cutscene here.
All right. So I believe.
Stand by.
So yeah, out of our like 10+ years of experience, we have pretty much mapped all the best places for Indianapolis. There's also a ton of restaurants.
Yeah,
P.F. Chang's, Colt's Grill, a slew of bars.
Scotty's Brew House.
Where's the place that you can get Yoohoo Shots, which I recommend not to take more than one of? Chubbs?
That was
I don't
Scotty's
know.
Brew House, I thought, wasn't it?
Huh?
I thought that was Scotty's.
Was this? No.
That's not Scotty's.
But yeah,
That's not Scotty's?
if you find yourself in a
comedy club, I don't remember what the bar is. It's
Yeah.
really like a hole in the wall on the 3rd floor.
I actually like it, but
if
Maybe
you
like-
find yourself in a bar that
Yoo-hoo
sells Yoohoo Shots, don't take the Yoohoo Shots.
take them.
That's not chocolate milk. That's chocolate drink, and you don't want that in your
Me
system.
and
Right?
Jared were alternating times in the bathroom, vomiting our brains out because of that.
Day zero.
Like, literally.
Day zero of Gen Con. We almost like KO'd ourselves too hard that year. But yeah,
I
so
was fine.
so if you're not there for like if you're not there for tournaments and stuff, we've mentioned a slew of places just to visit outside the convention center, as well as in the convention center. There are a bunch of shows, skits, panels that you can also research and find. There's a lot of sketch comedies that happens like in different parts of the convention building that you can just like peek into. Most of them are cheap, don't even cost anything. The tickets themselves might be just $0. They just print out one so you can get a seat in the more popular ones. And that's where I usually buy my generic $2 ticket. Just go, all right, sure. There's a ticket charge. All right, here you go, and I'll just you can take your pick of where you want to go. Any places you want to avoid at Gen Con?
Nah. I mean,
really,
I
right?
don't wanna
The public
shit on
restroom?
anybody.
Okay,
Besides the public
okay,
restrooms.
public restrooms. Yeah, pretty much.
That's my
We don't tell them.
contribution.
We don't tell the general viewing public where our hidden restroom is. Okay, so a bunch of years ago, we would only go to Gen Con to play mini games, and it was held in a completely different hall, and on a completely different floor, in a completely different building. And what wound up happening was, mini games got moved into the main hall.
The cesspool.
Yeah, the cesspool. Thank you, John. But no one books events on this hall in this floor, so there's a bathroom there that is always pristine. There's like 5 people that use it because I'm pretty sure we're the only 5 people that remember it exists.
Oh, wait, I know where that is. That's on
Yeah,
that.
There's like a treasure.
There are
map
sacred places
somewhere.
in that city that you do not speak
I
of.
do know what you're talking about, but I will not wrap that out because that is the best place to take a poop if you have to, and you can't get back to your hotel room.
Oh, you're saying the public street also frowned upon to do that. Don't do that, guys.
Yeah,
Things
that-
not to do.
Indianapolis is pretty clean. Don't shit on their streets.
Yeah.
But there's the places like I would say to avoid. I mean, there's no real place that's really worth shitting on in Indianapolis. Everything seems to be all right. I've never had
Yeah.
kind of bad experience with any one particular place. So
Yeah,
like,
Brew House.
They're really pleasant people, you know? They're kind of almost just like us, except not.
like the Scotty Brewhouse thing is a running joke just because Ray Kadeko has a blood feud with them over some kind of dice. But everything I've heard about them and their service is actually fine. Another bullet point I want to bring up. It kind of goes hand in hand with everything we're talking about, but I mean we keep getting censored and not being able to say it. So, what would be your best? What would be your best Gen Con war story if you had to come up with something? Just a good memory that you had from the convention. Just if someone's asking you, give me a story that really encapsulates what Gen Con is about, besides like, I played in this tournament and everything.
The convention. Let's limit it to the convention, and that way we don't have like the CIA blacked out document where it's like and then like the sign and that's it and nothing else.
Well,
And then
you
got
don't
back to the
tell them
hotel
where you
room.
buried the body, all right? You don't have to tell that story. You can tell a different story than that one.
Okay, so some of the best experience I've had at Gen Con. Like I said, trying oddball RPGs. Last year, I had a great time playing. Actually, last year was a bunch of great RPG sessions we did. Achtung Cthulhu, which is kind of a pulpy World War II, mixed in Cthulhu in there from H.P. Lovecraft. Our GM had maps, had imprints, had old school photos, and really set the tone, with all these little props. It doesn't seem like a lot, but these little props just really added to the experience. And we played a sort of like an MI6 type of group, and then a bunch of historians, because the scenario was there were monuments men, and these secret organization was trying to find out there was something hidden in one of the monuments that they were trying to save. So you had the secretive organization, and then these U.S. monuments men, which were a thing in World War II, of these group of individuals, archaeologists, writers, learned people that knew the importance of artifacts and paintings. And
I believe there was a movie with what's his face,
and it was actually that's an actual movie too.
The movie was bad. Don't watch it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you get the gist of it. You get the gist of it. So he literally split us. We were all essentially good guys, but he split us in two different groups and gave us two different types of objectives and made us question the other side, which led to a lot of tense moments. And you could tell the people around the table were just really engrossed in the story. The GM was really excited. We had such a great time, and Hodge was a part of this too, and I think he also had a great time. Yeah. How it panned out was probably one of the best RPGs I've ever been in. Also probably one of my best stories. And one of my most immediate ones, because obviously it happened last year, so everything's really fresh.
John, you go. Or no, wait, let's not skip Hodge.
Memories.
Hodge, do you need to be skipped?
That's so best convention memories. It would be probably at this point, what was that? 2 years ago, where we were playing in an RPG, and I'm not even that huge of an RPG guy. I'd rather play games where there's like a defined winner and loser, just because I'm like a highly competitive player. But my best memory ever would be in another RPG session where actually Drew's older brother taught us rules to this game, and it was about being a demon or something, and you had to go through some, everyone had their own secret agendas that you had to go through. And my character was sort of like a conspiracy theorist type of guy who essentially just had to make up his own story and get people to believe in it. And I was in that with Drew and John, and unfortunately for John, he didn't realize that there was a second page to his character sheet where it gave him his entire motivations for playing the game. So John was just kind of going along, just completely being a yawn and not reading all the rules. And he sat there and he was nose deep in the rules book the entire time. And then he finally figures out on the second page that everyone has been doing their motivations this whole entire game, and he hasn't been. And I guess all of us at the table sort of realized that John wasn't paying attention to his motivations. So all of our motivations at the end of the day were essentially to fuck John over and to kill John. And it was hilarious because the DM, GM, whatever the hell is Game Master, Dungeon Master, whatever it was, his world was a persistent world. So us playing in this campaign for, I think it was supposed to be for 4 hours, but he wound up staying for 6 just to see it pan out. It is getting written into his actual campaign, and he's a writer for the company of this book. So it could actually get published about the things that we were doing and the exploits of us essentially killing Jan. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But the best part about it was we had 2 random people in our group. It was me, Drew's older brother, Jan, and 2 randoms. And the 2 random people were just having a ball about it too.
They
so
were
it was
scared at some point. They were just flat out scared.
One guy asked, as you said when you first show up for an event, you kind of just hey, how are you just for this is the same event you're in for? Oh, it's cool. My name's so and so. So one of the guys introduced himself oh, I'm like the librarian. I love collecting all the books, but I don't have a group to play with. So I've never, I've read the books, I understand them, I love the world, but I've never sat down to play an RPG. And right away we knew, like, oh man, this guy's in for some chop right now.
This guy just jumped off the deep end without realizing it.
The other random person was a female who is an experienced RPGer, and I think she also did a little light writing for the book, or she does writing for RPGs, like the stories and whatnot. And she was familiar with the DM. So that was pretty interesting because she knew her motivations, what she had to do. And the game itself was like demon, and the backstory of it is that you're cast for, I guess you're a fallen angel of sorts, but you're hiding your true identity in a human shell. And, you know, obviously if you break your shell, people are going to notice, hey, it's a demon, let's hunt it down, or something like that. So you had to be in your relatively human form, try not to be showy with your powers, but every demon has their own kind of agenda. So it became like a spy versus spy type of deal, where everyone's kind of doing really shady things, trying to accomplish their own goals. And as Hod said, there were some things on John's second page that could have guided him in the gameplay, but that did not happen how he imagined.
I don't care. I got to do the one thing I wanted to do that game is I got to pull a fucking jackhammer and like 30 sticks of dynamite out of my pocket.
No, it wasn't dynamite, like, it was C4.
Or C4, I'm sorry.
It was specifically C4 because that's what killed you.
It didn't kill him. Let's be
honest.
No.
It just wounded me. It wounded me a lot.
You know how they say it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop against the pavement? The C4 wasn't the fall, it was the knife stabbing that was sudden pavement stop. But regardless.
John, what do you got for a memory?
Memories of Gen Con. No matter what game you're playing, if a god asks you for something, do not offer your gratitude.
That's a good one.
No matter what game you're playing, if they suggest beer, use beer. Not anything else.
Oh, yes, Iron Ale. Guys, Iron Ale.
Oh. Yeah, Iron and Ale is a great drinking game when you use beer.
Dwarves.
So without admitting to a felony, because these are all true things, we played Iron Ale with Moonshine. I had just had surgery on my arm, so I had Oxycontin and some form of Percocet. Then we went to the bar where I was told not to do shots by the other guy who just had surgery on his arm, and the first thing I proceeded to do was $300 worth of shots. It was my 30th birthday, so I went unconscious. I would say that's probably my best war story of Gen Con, but I don't remember how I got back through. Oh, and I woke up in a pool of my own vomit. I cleaned it, though. I cleaned it.
You didn't wake up in a pool of your own vomit. I literally had to roll you out of your own pool of vomit because you were literally suffocating on it.
So when you turn 30, you go hard.
I think some of our best stories are just us getting drunk at Gen Con, because that's the one you get loose. Like, I'll do my, just maybe I should redo mine. One year I like officially just like said, screw it, I'm just gonna get trashed at the first day of Gen Con. So it was just me and Chris. We went to the beer garden.
Which Chris?
Me and Chubbs, because you were present for that one. We went to the beer garden as a group, but it was too damn hot. So we ended up. I believe, no, was it? This is a weird one. So we go to the beer garden, get drunk. Then we go to St. Elmo's early that year and have like age-old whiskey with their famous cocktail shrimp. Huh? Bourbon. Age-old bourbon with their cocktail shrimp, only to go back, drink a few other places, and then that's where we learn never drink light, dark, and finish off with Yoohoo Shots. Because we went to that dive bar for Yoohoo Shots, and then proceeded to eat because we ate so much we drank so much alcohol. You should always soak it up with some sort of meal, and then just threw up. Like, we threw up like middle of that night, alternating in between. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this again, only to do it something similar the very next year. So that's, I think, one reason I go to Gen Con, just to be with you guys and just get shit faced like for a day. And then
it should be noted also that these are our stories because this is the way our particular group operates. We're animals. But drinking in Gen Con, I mean, you don't have to drink. I know a lot of people, this is like their let loose time. This is their vacation from responsibility, vacation from everything. Enjoy Gen Con the way you see fit. some people have one or two drinks and they enjoy just having one or two drinks, hanging out, being part of a social scene. Maybe they're too scared to go to their local drinking scene or bar, or just being scared being social. But you see a lot of people come out of their shell at Gen Con, and I think that's great. Like I said, it doesn't have to involve alcohol. It doesn't have to. It could just be meeting someone at the table, saying, "Hey, how are you? This is my first time playing," and you could make a friend for life that way too. There's a lot of people. We're a varied bunch of characters, and everyone I've met too that we've played with or along with has always been like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You know, you're really friendly. You guys are a lot, very different from what we're used to, and we attract a lot of people to us too. The way we are, being outgoing, being loud at times, being a little bit obtrusive, but still being gentleman when we need to. So, like I said, don't think that drinking is just Gen Con. It's not. That's just our way of celebrating it, because we as friends, we rarely see each other all together at the same time at the same place. So we always celebrate pretty hard. But have fun out there. You don't need to drink. Just putting that out there as a PSA. Drinking not required. You're gonna have fun at Gen Con, being social with other gamers, playing games that you like, playing games that you never knew you liked, or playing new games that you're looking forward to.
And with that said, I'm going to tell my favorite story, which involves me getting really drunk.
We should probably edit that to put the whole not drinking thing in the beginning of this.
No, we can do it. We can do it either way. I like how it organically works out. So, Chris, tell us your famous drinking story.
Mine has to do with the Warlord 10th anniversary party that me and my friends threw. I'm going to give big shout out to Kevin Leach on that one. He was the mastermind behind all this. We secured a pimp suite in the Hilton, and it's on the same floor with all the L5R parties that always happen. Now, again, Warlord was the old AEG game, L5R is an AEG game, so you kind of mix circles there, but we were able to schedule it, and we just said, come back to our suite, and we just have a good time. There was actually a 10th anniversary tournament happening right before that happened. It was a draft event, so it was once you lost, you were out, and that's when people were trickling into the party. Just once they got eliminated, they were done. And I lasted pretty long, so by the time I got back to the suite, I walked in, everyone's already kind of tipsy and already being loud and rowdy, and I just walk in hey, what's going on? And I start getting booed immediately, and then they'll start picking up Warlord cards and just chucking them at me. And then that proceeds into a half-hour-long card fight where everyone's just picking up cards and flinging them at each other. Definitely a hazard to losing your eye, but nobody but one person's girlfriend got seriously injured, so everything was okay. She took a card right to the grill and fell down to the floor, but she was laughing about it. She was a good sport.
And the people we play with, they are good at chucking cards. They can snipe out people from across. Yeah, I've seen these guys snipe cards from across a large convention hall to a person right across, and they don't see it coming. And the fact that we were in close proximity with these guys, that was just that was. I recorded that. I don't know if I still have that video though. Yeah,
and there's 40 different short stories that all come out of that party. It involves altercations with the L5R group. It involves, somebody having alcohol poisoning in our bathroom, somebody not sleeping, Jared gaining a fedora hat. There's a whole slew of stories. I can make a whole episode about that one party. It is the most epic thing I've ever been to.
I think I still have that fedora hat somewhere in a closet somewhere.
Jared, I've got a fedora hat if you want it. That way you can tip your fedora to everybody.
But I don't know. I have a big head. This fedora is important.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, the Gen Con fedora hat. Awesome.
All right. Does anybody else? We're about done with all the bulleted items that we had. So, anybody have any kind of final comments?
Yeah,
Nope.
Don't get eliminated.
So, as you can see here, most of us, none of us are sorry. None of us are too bummed out that we didn't get the events we want, because we know, we are guaranteed that once we get to Gen Con, we will have some of the best, we'll have the time of our lives there, because we know because we're here with our friends. There's going to be great people, great places, great things that we're going to do there, and it might not be our initial goals, tournament-wise. That's what we're mainly there for, but back of our heads, we know we're really here just to have fun, and that's what you should, people going to Gen Con should take from that. You're here to have fun. I didn't get to this event. Well, this is Gen Con. We have thousands of new games there. Some of them like are going to be in the new game that comes out this year. Go check those out. What's the harm? So for any of those grumpy naysayers that say like, I'm not gonna have fun at Gen Con because my event's there. Well, screw that. Then what's the point? Then don't go. Don't ruin it for everyone else who can find a good time there.
Yeah, you make your own fun at Gen Con. Like you said, you may not get the first through 80th choices you wanted on your list. So what? Find some random events, get some generic tickets. Maybe they'll let you into the event. I've known a couple of RPGs specifically where they had 6 or 7 spots max capped. People showed up with generics, and then GM's like, hey, you know what? I have an extra character sheet. Does anyone else mind? Everybody goes, no. They join in. Or some tournaments also let you join in through generics. Try it. It's worth trying out. You could always refund generics and or go to any other event and use the generics up. You may find a game that you love that you overlooked completely because you were so locked into your one choice that you didn't get that you put on the horse blinders and you didn't see firsthand. So just go out there, have fun. Gen Con's a full contact sport. Please wear, appropriate groin protection.
And remember, we talked about drunk stories. Who knows, by Saturday we might be too passed out to even go to our events. And that's how you find your openings. So you never know.
What, for them to take advantage of us, Jared?
No! The spots in an event.
Yeah, that's how you get Jared, ladies and gentlemen. You just give him like 1 or 2 drinks and you're in. That's it. Just to give him a little winky face emoji.
All right, guys. So I think that's about time to wrap up. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Check out our website, unorganizedplay.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just search Unorganized Play, and you'll find our little logo with the orc. Leave some comments. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Just want to point out that one of our other videos, we asked people to mention in the comments section if they hadn't heard of Gen Con. I just want to remind Jared that the only people who said that were trolls who knew us, so everybody knows what Gen Con is. We don't have to explain it to them again. And but again, leave some comments, leave some trollish comments. We love them. That's about it. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. See you.
Fuck Larry.
That's it. Bye. Bye. John's dead, I think.
Larry.
I don't know. We can't see his actual face, so who knows if he did die.
You might have muted us.
No, I'm right here.
Oh, he's fapping. He's using his sweet time to fap.
Still right here.
He still hasn't denied it.
He's like, I'm